Welcome back to Teach a Man to Fish channel. Today's video, we're bringing you a new portable tabletop wood pellet grill. It's the ASmoke AS350. Let's go ahead and get started.
So I assume you want to know about the grill, not the box. There's plenty of reviews out there that talk about box and packaging. We're going to go ahead and jump straight into the features and what I was impressed with and not impressed with in this grill. So this is another one of those grills that's multi-purpose, says that it can do everything, 100 things in one. It's all there for you to use. Honestly, I would say that some of this they're right on. I was pretty stunned to see the baking ability that you'll see later on in the video.
There's lots of recipes out there around Boston butt, other types of pork, brisket, but I decided for my first cook on this to be something that's a little less common and to bring you a pellet smoker recipe that's a little bit unique. Spatchcocked whole chicken.
I've seen some confusion around this plate that goes into the bottom of the fire pot. You're supposed to use this when you're using non-ASmoke pellets, and it helps it burn properly and not fall out of the bottom of the fire pit into your ashtray. And what I can see in the pellets from ASmoke, here's the applewood. This is great flavor that comes with this versus this, it's not really generic. It's Oklahoma Joe, another product that I use and I'm pretty well satisfied with. The pellets are small on Oklahoma Joes.
Throughout this, we'll be giving you some tips and some tricks in grilling and cooking in general. For example, number one, always cook to temperature, not time.
There is dust and grime that comes on the grill from the factory, so there's a burn-in process that gets the grill all prepped up. Again, we're not going to go too much into the detail on the assembly. It makes sense. You have a couple of simple tools and you put this together. The ASmoke 350 does come with a probe that has its own holder. The holder stores on the side in these notches, but it looks to me like there's some confusion out there. Not many people pick up, monitor the ambient temperature. It's not just a meat probe. If you're curious what your cook chamber is residing at, you can clip that into the grill grates, and it holds it up and away, and it's a mount for the grill grates. For the burn-in process, I'm going to go ahead and use the Oklahoma Joe pellets here just to see, instead of experimenting with that on food, I'll just do the experiment on the burn-in process. Again, because this is not ASmoke pellets, we'll put the plate in that's used to modify for the non-standard pellets. There's a 2-compartmented tray on the bottom. One is for a water catch if you're doing some type of smoke that requires additional moisture, as well as the ash catch at the bottom under the fire pot. You can see right here that probe versus when we started. I can even feel the heat from there. That's where the fire starts, and you can see it turning blue and tempering. These are the first pellets coming out as the prime. They'll drop down here onto the heating element and should catch fire. You can even see that heating element turning red hot at this point. I'm going to go ahead and release the prime and let it go from here. As it gets going and heats up for the burnout here, you can see the smoke that comes pouring out of the back. We had some problems with wind in relation to this. One of the weaknesses I see with this, but you can adapt to it. So you can open or close this panel, which takes you to sear or the indirect heat or smoke or any of the other functions. I think the only reason that you'd want to have those grates open would either be to saute, suppose you had a cast iron pan in there, or if you wanted to sear the meat, which we'll do later in the video with the burgers that we'll be making out of ground pork. I'm also going to try and do a solar setup at some point, just to see with a battery and solar how well this thing will run all on its own. Make us really portable and really independent.
There's some great videos out there that compare the ASmoke to things like Traeger and Pit Boss. They're portable tabletop grills. I'm not really doing a this model versus that model, being my first foray into pellet grill, but come back. Someday, maybe I'll do a Pit Boss versus ASmoke grill. Those are probably the two that are the most similar in this category of pellet smoker.
Quick tip on cleanup: cover those grates with foil. Makes the cleanup easier. All you have to do is remove it. It's not a big deal. Just make sure you get it form-fitted very well down to both the grooves as well as where the openings are. We did both the sear and cut the lines for the sear, as well as on the smoke for the chicken. We just let it stay closed, and cleanup was 10 times easier. I would definitely make certain that the grooves where the grease runs off are functioning properly, so you don't have any grease getting caught up, pulling up, and risking fire potential. In a little bit later in the video, we'll show you what that looks like when it comes out in both the smoke side as well as in the sear where we cut the holes.
I did want to give one shout out, if you're doing the research, to Tom Horseman. He does a great Pellet Pro versus an ASmoke side-by-side comparison, and I really do enjoy all his videos. He's very intense on the reviews and has a garage full of grills.
Another quick tip: we decided to line the oil trap or the grease trap there because it made it much easier on cleanup. I'm not normally a clean your grill every time you cook it, but daggone it, this thing is too nice to just let it go the way I do most of my smokers.
We've also been given a couple of other tools to try in this video. We've got our Eric Hill infrared thermometer, as well as this pretty impressive grill set that we'll be trialing in this video as well. You'll see these tools pop up all throughout the video. And if you're interested in anything in this video, we'll put a link down below where you can go to purchase them.
Well, now that we have that burn-in done, we're going to go ahead and go up to our cooking temperature, get this chicken spatchcocked, which is basically removal of the backbone, flatten that chicken out. It's the only way I'll smoke a chicken because it makes all that meat, gets rid of that hollow in the middle, and makes all that meat even across. You'll see it in just a second. Let's talk about how the heat spreads out on this grill. I think it's amazing how the heat stays more on the right side as you're facing the grill. Obviously, you've got the pellets in between the left side. We were using our infrared thermometer here to check about the spread, and we'll also use our infrared camera where you can really see the difference of how cool the left side remains versus the right.
I will say this about this grill as well. It looks to be a little bit better construction than what comes with the Pit Boss grill. They're almost side by side comparable, but from what I see in the sheet metal and the features that come with this, the ASmoke looks a little bit better constructed. But I haven't had my hands on the Pit Boss yet. I'm just purely doing that based on what I'm seeing in the videos.
Earlier in the video, I told you we were having problems with wind, and I believe it caused it to struggle to get consistent temperatures. So I took an old cabinet to an old stainless steel grill that I had, blocked the wind across the back. I think it helped some. We were able to get more consistent temperatures. You can even see it in this graph that shows you where the wind died down later on in the cook, and the up and down got more consistent.
So knowing the size of the crowd that I have coming, I told you I had to do 2 chickens. I've got a smaller chicken for the rotisserie. My Ronco rotisserie likes around 5 pounds plus minus, but for the smoker, go big or go home. This is a much larger chicken coming in at 8.24 pounds. That's about the biggest chicken, a big roaster. We'll be splitting it and spatchcocking it for you because that spatchcock gets rid of that hollow cavity in the middle. Your heat spreads more evenly across all of the meat. Spatchcock is the best way to roast or smoke that entire chicken. If you don't have a decent set, a nice set of meat shears in your kitchen, it's worth having. It makes cutting through that backbone 20 times easier as you work your way through it. So for this video, we'll be using Cavender's all-purpose Greek seasoning. It's hands down our favorite seasoning. All you do is sprinkle it on the outside. We use it in our rotisserie all the time. As a matter of fact, during this same video, I've got some people coming over this evening. I need to make 2 chickens. One is a rotisserie, really good stuff. And we'll see how this comes out with the smoke flavor.
Being the first time I used this, it was full of electronics, one in each breast, comparing the temperature that we were getting off of the probe that came with the device. I even used my old faithful trusty to verify across each. And I can tell you, in the end, everything kind of settled out to be pretty much identical across the board. I had to go a little bit longer than I would have expected, and it all worked out fine from a temperature and safety standpoint. So I got this grill tool set and an infrared thermometer sent to me by a company. I told them I would use it and give it a little bit of show in the video, so here you go. This is the look at it. So of course the rotisserie was done long before that giant beast of a chicken that I had on the grill, and it's consistent. It's one of our favorites. It comes out a home run every time. As far as the temperature is concerned, I tried to start this at 350 and then found myself ratcheting up higher and higher in order to get the temperature that I wanted to see inside in the ambient temperature in the grill. I want to say I ended up at 450 degree setting, and it worked fine. So even the variations in temperature that we're seeing across all of these temperatures, all of it can be explained. And really when it comes down to grilling, it's getting to know you're a piece of equipment. Really, these are just numbers that could be anything. You could tell me that that's 6 ducks or 8 ducks. And normally I smoke at 10 ducks. It's just a number. As you learn what these temperatures mean, the results that you get, you'll get better and better at using this. Stay tuned. We use the bake function as well as the sear function for this specific run as an introduction to the grill. Okay, so half of this cook is basically electronics. So we're going to do one more verification of temperature. I'm going to use the ThermoPro. I'm getting 167, 163. So we're in that ballpark, that perfect zone when this is telling me it's done. Let's see what old trusty faithful shows me.
This is another tip that I picked up from Scott Gregg Outdoors. Great tip is watch for flame out. In his tips video, he specifically recommends these are not set it and forget it grills. You have to tend to them. That feed of the pellets into the fire pot, if you're not tending it and paying attention to it, it can get out of control on you, go out, too many pellets, smother out, and that's what can cause you problems with the flame and the flame out.
Nope, I'm gonna let it keep going because this is my favorite thermometer for sure. One side is hotter than the other. That one's showing 164. Oh, that juice is rolling out. 159. I'm gonna let that keep rolling. Look at the pellets, see how they're doing. We're going through some pellets. You remember at the start, that was level with those grates. You'll see in just a second the effect that having that foil, all that crust comes right out with it. Even later on in the video here, we'll do a sear with pork burgers, and you can see the cleanup still just as easy. Now that it's time to do the shutdown, another tip, never just unplug it. Turn it all the way to off, and even though it says off, you'll hear it's still finishing the burn. You want that pot to empty out. Now to go along with that chicken, let's throw in some French bread with some of that herb butter and Parmesan cheese on top. Let's see how it does with that. Spoiler alert, it does great. We did have to spin them around, rotate them a little bit, because on the outer edges, where the heat is rolling up from the baffle plate, it does get a little bit hotter. Don't forget to stay until the end. See how it does with pork burgers too on sear.
Oh yeah. That's a good piece of chicken.
This all-encompassing toolkit also comes with corn holders. Now we'll go ahead and transition to testing out the sear with pork burgers. Want to try and do the foil? You have to cut the holes in the foil where the louver opens up in order to get that flame to come through to provide that good sear flavor. Now let's recharge that pellet hopper. Do the preheat. If you haven't tried ground pork burgers, don't even think it tastes like sausage. Juicy, great texture, great flavor, and with a little bit of spices, comes out amazing. And it's probably, most of the time, it's half the cost of hamburger meat. Here's a tip for you. Don't do this. Number one, I didn't need it. It's something that I normally do, and I caught other parts of the grill on fire while I was trying to season up the grates, and that's what I'm used to doing on my cast iron grills. Well, on the sear function, it does concentrate the heat very heavily right there in the middle, the flame, the sear. You have to spin them around and rotate them a bit in order to get the sear to go evenly all the way across your burgers. Here comes another tip for you. Don't let your pellets run out. I actually, during this one quick, short, fast cook, I didn't put enough pellets in to start out with, so I had to load a little bit more in the beginning. You'll see a lot of great videos out there that give you these kind of tips, and they don't recommend that this is kind of set it, forget it, walk away, don't pay attention to the cook. You kind of got to pay close attention and maintain this, which to me, I enjoy. Another tip for you, don't let your pellets get wet. They will absorb moisture and it will ruin them. So try and keep your bags indoors, sealed up, and taken care of. Most of the reason for fires that happen is not doing a good job cleaning it up. This battery-powered shop vac is a fantastic way, portable. Just reach in there real quick, get some of that grease-impregnated ash out. It blows all over the compartment. Sucking it up, vacuuming it up, I think is the best way to manage that and prevent those fires from getting out of control.
So YouTube says that this video is perfect for your viewing habits. This is my latest upload, and over here is a playlist you might just enjoy. I hope you liked it. If you did, please click like, subscribe, share, and come on back for more.